These are connected separately.
Right.
Yeah,
My
this is the children. So it's, I can't. do-
Okay. 825. 5258. 2508.
Yes.
842. 740.
What is the number on your community hall, council chambers staff?
Okay, we're leaving this one. Yes, I can.
Is it your mic? Nona, can you hear me? Okay.
I think it's your
One.
mic.
Yes. Is this better? Much better. Okay. Okay, so call to order, the first meeting of Conservation Committee for 2020, what is it, 4? Jesus. Let's do roll call. Catherine McGill,
Megan Richards.
Nancy Frere,
York Zimmerman,
Teresa Coleman.
great, and I would just like to welcome Nancy to the Conservation Committee. We're super happy to have you join us.
I'm happy to be here.
Okay, it's time for oral communications for items that are not on the agenda. Does anybody have any oral communications? I do, if nobody else does. The Hawthorns project has come up with several proposed places for the parking permit, and I should have had it on the agenda for this meeting. We'll bring it to the next meeting, which is still a couple days before the decision-making meeting. But if those of you who saw a post on the PV forum that showed the 3 different options, and yeah, anyway, we can't talk about it now, but we will talk about it next month for sure. And it would be, yeah, it would be great if people could go online and look at the options. Okay, any other public comments? Okay. The other thing I forgot to put on the agenda is the elections for president and vice president, but we'll just do that next month. We'll be acting. Okay. Let's do the minutes for the last meeting, which was November 28th. There was just a typo on section the 6B 3 under wildfire preparedness. The second paragraph just has wildlife preparedness. And I'm sure the wildlife would love to be prepared, but I didn't see anything else. So
Who knows where my brain was?
I make typos all the time.
So
Okay.
for no others?
Anybody
I
else?
move to approve the minutes.
Second. All in favor?
I,
All right. You have to abstain. Right? Yeah, you have to abstain and Nancy has to abstain since you weren't here.
I have to. Right, got it.
me too, yep.
Yep.
Abstain.
Okay, we were just screaming along here. And for everybody who noticed that the room is warm, I turned the heater on before I got here a little bit early, but it's only on for 2 hours, so the meeting has to be concise. Okay. Site permits, I just wanted to note that 80 Golden Oak has come around for their ASCC meeting. This was one that Paul and you and I did many years ago. So they're gonna have a site visit, and I said I would join them. I don't think there's any big deal. No tree permits. And oversight of town-owned properties. So the town center, I know we're making a plan to go and take a look, do a walk around.
Yep, no update.
And Spring Down, I don't believe there's an update on that one either. I need to talk to Howard in Judy's absence. And Frog Pond, is it, anything of
No,
note going
nothing,
on
I
at
mean,
Frog Pond?
nothing happened, and the list of things to do is now reaching out to the school again to see on the punch list that we agreed on how far we go, etc. So the folks are happy. They will probably by March have the latest updates.
Okay. Regarding the trees, you weren't here last month, but there was some concern about removing all 5 of those large trees. And so we shared the arborist report with Megan and Nona and Dieter, and all 4 of us felt that it was appropriate to remove those trees. Sad, but there's really nothing that could be done. And it was a real liability.
Yeah.
And if anyone was hurt, it would have been a big problem. Okay, so now we can move on to update on advice to the ASCC on adding Detrichia removal to the. Is not shade. Did you ask me to put shade?
You're looking at the
Looking
wrong
at the
thing.
wrong thing. Okay. We can put Shady Trail on if you think it would be helpful. Okay. Okay, good. Yeah.
But again, Marianne, that's not conservation, that's trails.
Okay, you probably saw that Dieter has circulated his text on Detrichia, which was really thorough and very. Yeah, so I think I'm not sure how we want to incorporate this into the ASCC. Dana last month said that the ASCC was aligned with that. Yeah, okay. Right. So that, I guess that's kind of where I was going a little bit roundaboutly, was this is, I think, too long to go on to a checklist, but I think it's really important that we have that document, so we can edit it to put on the, yeah, executive summary.
How do we do that and not violate Brown Act stuff? Do we have to do it?
We
the
need a subcommittee.
Okay, I was just trying to.
So will you, and, okay, all right, Megan and Mary Ann will take a look at it and do some edits. That's great.
I'm happy to help too, if you want, but it's up to you.
Okay. Nona, do you have anything from the Wildfire Preparedness Committee?
I don't actually think I can participate remotely.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You can't. You can
I'd
listen.
love to, but I can't. But I'm all ears.
I think I remember that. Go ahead, go ahead. You can't vote. You have to promise not to vote, but you can tell us what your updates.
Oh, I can? Okay. Let me think. So at the last meeting of the Wildfire Preparedness Committee, there've been two meetings actually. One was a special workshop where Fire Marshal Giuliacci responded to comments that had been made at the earlier workshop that she held in November and took more comments. And I see that she is actually on this meeting as well. So it might be worth having her say a few things. And then at the meeting 2 days after that, which was last week, the committee talked about the workshop that had taken place, but also we spent a fair amount of time talking about to what extent the Conservation Subcommittee on Defensible Space could work with Kim and with Craig Taylor to kind of flesh out some guidelines for the defensible space draft ordinance, to give it a little bit more clarity, to give it a little bit more, some specific examples, and potentially to sort of emphasize the positive aspects of it. So Megan maybe or Marianne could say a little bit more about that later on, but well, it's one of those things that kind of spans conservation and wildfire preparedness a bit right now.
So this was the two public meetings that you're talking about, or are these actually the committee on wildfire preparedness?
So these were 3 meetings of wildfire preparedness, 2 of which were dedicated to presentations and workshops by Fire Marshal Giuliacci. And then the third one was just a regular meeting of wildfire preparedness.
Okay, okay, good.
So I'm sorry, Nona, I guess I'm confused. I thought the subcommittee that had been formed, the conservation, I'm missing something here. Do we have a separate subcommittee that's dealing just with this? Or is it the one that was the open space conservation?
So it's actually the subcommittee from conservation, which is Megan, Marianne, and me. And we have been working on providing feedback to the fire marshal on the defensible space ordinance. But it kind of ties into the presentations that the fire marshal made during the wildfire preparedness committee meetings. And it was actually Craig Taylor who worked with the fire marshal, and he is the liaison to WPC, not to conservation. So it's a little bit overlapping, but it is a conservation committee subcommittee.
Okay, so this is going way back to the ordinances that we looked at almost a year ago.
Well, it is,
That's
except
where
that
the subcommittee started. Yes, that's where it came
right.
from.
And
Okay.
then there was a second
Okay.
draft of the ordinance in
Right.
October, which we have
Yes.
also responded to.
Yep. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
That's all.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, there's the wildfire preparedness committee, which you are the representative to, Nona.
Yes.
And then there's the subcommittee on the defensible space, which is Marianne, Megan, and you that have been
Yes.
working on with Kim. Good.
Yes, and we could hold off until later, but our subcommittee had a meeting last Friday to talk about what kind of guidelines we might be able to put together with the fire marshal to go together with the draft ordinance. It's just in the beginning stages, but it's something that is potentially going to happen pretty fast. So it's really just adding the conservation input into that.
Well, translating the document into just teaching the residents what the document means on the ground in their own yard, I think is.
Right.
I think it's awesome.
It's on.
It's okay, you don't need it.
Looks like
I
Kim
think
is
there's-
on.
Yeah, I think there's still a few questions to be resolved. I think at this stage, we're at, making sure that we're on the same page as Kim with our comments to figure out how we might continue it. I think Craig was going to follow up from our meeting, and I'm not sure where that's headed.
Great.
So I can just add a couple of things then. So we've actually added our track change suggested edits a third time now. And so those have been, so Craig and Megan and Marianne and I have those, and I hope Craig has sent them to Kim, but I'm not positive about that yet. And then I've circulated a draft of some suggestions, which our subcommittee hasn't really reviewed yet. They will come back to conservation hopefully soon.
All right.
Does maybe Kim want to add something because she just came into the picture?
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the only comment that I wanted to add to this is, yes, I don't want to say that it's necessarily a translation to the ordinance, but it's more of a fuel mitigation standard and guideline to provide to property owners to help guide them in understanding what it actually means, direction of what they need to do. So that draft will be written by the district, but what I wanted to get support from both the Conservation Subcommittee as well as the Wildfire Preparedness Committee is just to, give some input, some guidance. I know conservation does so much work with defensible space and vegetation, and I have seen some of the publications that have come out in the past, and you all have a wealth of experience and knowledge in this, and I think it really would help to include some of those things into the standard and guideline to really help people have an understanding, give them examples. So it's nothing new that will be introduced. It's stuff that conservation has put out before, but now it's being brought together in a document that by reference would be adopted through our ordinance. So it does have a legal binding of saying, this isn't just a guideline that we're just writing out there. There is legal backing behind it of giving those people that guidance, but under I guess a legal process. So that's pretty much what we're looking for to get that support and assistance from, because I think it would be very beneficial for this type of document for the homeowners or property owners to have in meeting the requirements.
That's great. That's great clarification. Thanks, Kim.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Anything else on the defensible space or wildfire preparedness?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Kim.
Kim. And open space committee, Nona, has anything happened?
No, we're meeting next week. We haven't met.
Okay, great. Trails and paths?
The January meeting for Trails and Paths was canceled. The December meeting, I did bring up Shady Trail and was told specifically that the drainage aspects are on private property. From what I was told, that the trail easement only goes to the edge of the trail. It doesn't continue on into the drainage area. So I did bring that up. And there was also some discussion at the Trails and Paths meeting about the Palmer Trail, the new trail, and what had transpired with that. There was a little bit of confusion. So I did bring up the concerns that conservation had raised with respect to relocation of the trail and proper compaction, et cetera, of that trail, just because it was unclear. There was a building permit for that. There was sorry, let me make sure I get it right. That he said that Howard indicated that they will be doing a final inspection and that they will discuss erosion control and compaction of the trail that they also had previously discussed. So just wanted to let the committee know I did follow up.
Thank you. The question I have, so when they discussed Shady Trail and said this is the homeowner's responsibility, but it is running out and washing out Shady Trail. So who is doing anything other than stating the obvious?
It's not up to me, Marianne. I
No,
don't
so
know.
it wasn't discussed. So all I'm asking, so they said it's the homeowner and we're washing our hands.
No, they said that they were going to be going out and inspecting it again, but but as far
Shady
as.
Trail,
Yes.
they meaning,
Howard.
okay. 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 And I just wanted to let you know, I was walking the Palmer Trail right after the latest downpour, and something happened there. Something flooded quite significantly. It looked like it came from his property, and the homeowner had a team there who were profusely leaking out, getting rid of the mud and putting mulch down. However, if there is a runoff problem, but it was interesting. There is obviously a problem, but it's not our problem. But it was foreseeable. And that's why ASCC needs to go out when these applications are coming. It's so important.
Okay, well, the next item is the broom pool, which is we usually do the first Sunday in March, which is this year's March 3rd. And so I put in an application to use the step out in front of the schoolhouse on March 3rd, and we'll get the banners up and the pennies. And so I'll need, so we'll have one more meeting. So what we need is we need a list of where we need to go. And then some weed
Can you give
wrenches.
us some parameters on that, Catherine? Because I think that there are places that have been worked on in the past.
Yeah,
That maybe would be good to revisit, but I'm not sure what the purview, how far we're allowed to go and what,
So,
yes,
yeah,
actually,
the town, but last year we actually we worked a little bit on the Palo Alto side of the creek. So, but
Right.
we're supposed to stay within the town limit.
I just meant
yeah,
historic.
I actually have some feedback there because I was quite unhappy what happened last year. For many reasons, we didn't go out to the places we used to go, like near Palmer Trail and what have you. And the result is, over the years, we have been pulling a lot and controlling it. But because last year we did not go to about three places where we used to go, it is now hopelessly back, fully infested. And quite frankly, I am so frustrated. I've been doing certain things there, and I'm not always here in March. And I don't really want to go out there anymore because it's sort of like Sisyphus. It's like a Sisyphus work.
Yeah, so somebody needs to tell me where those places are so that I can put them.
You just look
on.
at the year 2 years, they always have been the same places. Just look at the old lists.
I don't have,
You don't have them?
have
Okay.
the old list.
I can write them.
So-
I can write in my area. And probably Dieter can write up near the school and Willowbrook.
Yeah, so
Because if we don't go back, and Apache, I can give you them Apache and what is the street out there, the line, whatever, towards Nona's old job. I forget now what the street is, but we have done certain areas for the last 10 years, and we actually got them under control. And now some of them are just hopeless. We'll need a big crew. I can
Okay.
write them up.
yeah, so I also need to, yeah, so if you can write them down and everybody else, please let me
Pinion.
know.
The other one is Pinion.
Yes, where we want to deploy the people. And then I'll get in contact with scouts. I don't know who else we want to,
But again, Catherine, when you say that, are we supposed to be focusing on areas that are abutting the roads, areas that are abutting the trails? What are the parameters? Because
it has to be,
sometimes-
it has to be public space. It
Okay.
it can't be on private property. So.
Right of way,
right-of-ways-
public right of way.
Right of ways.
Okay. And, okay.
It's
Yeah,
not on
pretty much.
trails. It's not on trails.
I'm
It's,
just trying
yeah, it's public right of way.
We understand.
Yeah.
What feedback to give.
And what I have learned, driving around is not helpful.
No, it isn't helpful.
And I have the advantage because I run and hike, gazillion miles. I see it.
Yeah.
And that's so frustrating. But I'll give you the list. Yeah.
Great. Uh,
Is there any coordination that needs to happen around other materials? Does everyone have those?
So we need to get access. So the town has a couple of 3 or 4 weed wrenches, the big ones. Paul Heipel used to get some, I can contact him, he's always helpful, to get some weed wrenches from,
Edgewood.
yeah, from the Edgewood people. And, I could find mine somewhere.
And last year, we didn't need the wrenches. It was easier to pull it
Right.
by hand.
And
Yeah,
we don't know.
well, it's awful.
We
It's
don't
gonna be wet this time too, so.
How do you know?
Wet now, it's only 6 weeks.
That's true.
Okay, Mary Ann, you want to talk about the website? subcommittee?
Yes, okay, so the website subcommittee, which is Catherine, Megan and me, met in December. And what we looked at, the current website, and to refresh your memory, currently when you go to the sustainability, not the committee, the sustainability tab at the town website, you come to the native plant lists. And we decided that we're going to keep that navigation path. I have actually not met with Carrie yet because I have a question I want to bring to the committee. I'm sort of grappling with something. So we have our lists, our approved lists. And I took a really close look, and I didn't realize that until relatively recently, at the list that's out there. And the list that's out there is there are sub-lists with slightly different headings of our finally approved list. But the list that's out there is a list that had been done actually when I was chair, so it was over 10 years ago, with Carol Borg. And Carol has spent gazillions of hours of making it very pretty. It's actually, I brought a picture somewhere in my, just give you an idea. So hers at the moment, and it's in color.
I know.
Okay. It's very pretty, and it's alphabetical by the English name. And actually, having now looked at our list, which alphabetical by the Latin name, I might actually bring this up, the wisdom of that, because people are going to look for toyons and not for, what's the Latin name for toyon? Right. Just, a practical sort of thing. But, that's an easy thing to do. The reason why I have held up to meet with Carrie so that she links the beautiful list is I would like to get your 5 cents what we should do with the existing list. I would hate to have it disappear because it's beautiful and it's not contradictory. It's just smaller. And so what's your thought? What are your thoughts? Well, makes me go.
I think that we spent the better part of a year trying to come up with a simple and long list that captured all of the existing lists and brought them into one place.
Right.
And we
Yeah.
decided not
Yeah.
to include the photos because, as you said, it takes a gazillion
Right.
hours to do.
Yeah, that's
Although they're beautiful,
Yeah.
I think that we should go ahead with the original plan and replace all of the lists so that there's only one source. that
okay.
people
So
look
you
at.
want to throw it away? Because I am strongly against it. I would at least want it somewhere else. Again,
Put it in the archives.
well,
So
it sets a terrible precedent.
One of the goals of the consolidated list was the fact that it's specifically, the lists were referenced or have been referenced in other documents, planning documents, et cetera. So what we were working on as a subcommittee was trying to give a single location as a reference point for
Yeah.
individuals, which are primarily not the residents. It's their landscape architects, their contractors, et cetera.
Yeah.
And in that situation, and we did talk about this a great deal, people who are working in that space want to see the Latin name. They want to see the real name, not the common name. So I understand what you're saying, Mariana, and we did talk about this and we did look at that at the time. you know.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I fully agree with everybody that under sustainability, we should link to our lists. That is not what I'm asking. What I'm saying is, yeah, there are 1,700 residents here. I don't know how many landscaping people we have, but we have a lot of residents. And to be honest, I think when a resident, and Catherine, you have worked with, what's his name on Westridge? The guy who bought the house from Constantine. There are residents who keep saying, I want to go to the town website and I want to get inspired. And while I fully agree that this list is a great list and it should be the primary source, I'm just wondering if this list, which is much easier to understand for somebody who is not a landscape architect, who is just a normal resident, who doesn't speak Latin, most people don't, I do. Is there a place maybe for this? Because it is a subset, it's not a contradiction. So that's what I'm trying to say.
I agree, and I hate to get rid of work that is accessible to people who aren't familiar with plants. But my concern is that one of the main drivers for creating this consolidated list was because there are all of these crossing paths and it's confusing which list people should refer to. So if we were to keep it, how do we make it clear that people should refer to which one's the primary list and how do we keep it from?
Yeah. Is there, that's what I was wondering. It shouldn't be that difficult to make it absolutely clear that this is the primary list. It's going to be the approved, it's going to be the link.
Someone prepares a new document and searches for a list of native plants from the Conservation Committee and finds the shorter one and references it in their document, and then that.
Well, you can't stop that anyway. They can go on the internet and look local.
Well, but if there's only one Conservation Committee in Portola Valley plant list, then that's the only one they can refer to.
We wouldn't call this the Conservation Committee plant list. This would be just something that's out there. I just hate to throw it away because it's so good and so helpful. I prefer looking at this thing than this thing. I'm not a landscaping architect. So that's all I'm saying. I fully agree that this is the list and this is the one that should be referenced and should be where we wanted to put it. I'm just looking for support to maybe somewhere keep this list because it's in English, it has photos, and I think it has a place. That's all I'm saying. And you know, if the whole committee wants to get rid of it, then obviously we'll get rid of it.
I mean, I don't think I'm necessarily disagreeing with keeping it. I'm not saying we have to force it out, but I'm asking the question of how we make it clear.
Well, maybe we can think about that and find a solution as a subcommittee.
We can do that as a subcommittee.
Well, it wouldn't take long, but I would just assume we could find a solution. I just haven't found one yet because I wanted to hear, should I keep thinking or should I stop thinking?
Okay, so we'll put it down for an update next time after the subcommittee has an opportunity to discuss.
Well, I think we want this done and I will meet with Carrie.
Yeah,
We want that.
Fix the architecture that we talked
Yeah.
about and make sure that it's pointing, that
Yeah.
everything is
Yeah.
pointing to that list.
Yeah.
And that, you know, it may be that there's a place on the website for a supplemental list that includes photos or something, but I still worry about the photo attribution stuff. Just things
They're
have
all there.
changed.
They're all there. Carol Borg has done the proper photo attributions.
Oh, has she?
Oh, no, they're there.
Okay.
There's no question that this is completely above board. Yeah. Okay. And so I didn't realize that this list is not for the residents. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
It's not for the residents, but it's primarily the way I had looked at it, Marianne, is that there are documents that are specifically have been generated that are given to, or that people are steered toward when they apply for a building permit or when they apply for any kind of, you know, work. And that's why we were working on getting a single consolidated list that was consistent. And that was what we were trying to do. And that was what we said we were trying to do, is that we had, that list was never the referenced go-to.
No, I understand that.
document.
I understand that.
So that was at least initially the focus
Would it be
we had.
would it be desirable to, because it would be easy to do, to switch it over that it's sorted by the English name and not by the Latin name?
I mean, it could be resorted and posted twice, once with the English names and once with, I mean, that's possible.
You know, we just, let's not lose track who we are talking to other than the landscaping architects who have this down. You know, if you're a normal resident, you're not going to call it Toyon a whatever it is. I've already forgotten. You won't.
No, I think.
And
one of
even
the-
we don't use it. We say Toyon.
Right, and it was Constantine who brought, he was certainly one of the people that brought this to our attention as a homeowner.
Yeah.
Wanting to learn. But yeah, so that's the problem, is that we have two different audiences. And
Well,
so,
the landscaping people could easily translate from English to Latin. I mean, that's their job. I mean, they know. But the residents do not.
right,
And I can just see somebody saying, oh, should I plant some toyons? Oh, T, it's not here. Click, gone. They're not going to look for an hour where this might be alphabetically.
It takes a second on Google.
Yes, so you really think that if I'm a homeowner and I want to find a toyon, I'm at the town website and then I'm going to Google to look for the Latin name so I'll find it.
I have two questions if I
Yeah.
can interrupt this. One is, have we actually replaced all of the other lists that were on the website, or is that part of the?
No,
effort
we
that
have
you're
not
going-
because they're all linked. No. They
Okay,
all will go
but is
together.
that part of the process that you're planning to go through?
Right,
Mhm.
that was
Okay.
the whole point of it.
Okay, so that
That
we're
was its
still
goal,
on,
number
except we've got a holdout list that we're gonna leave in place until we can decide. Do we need to open another subcommittee for the plant list to revise it again? Because
I
this
don't
feels like a
think
whole
so.
conversation that we just
I don't think
resolved.
so.
I don't
mean,
think
No,
so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
We just need to revive the committee just to talk about how we want to deal with the two audiences. I think.
Nona has her hand up. Okay.
Sorry. Nona?
Yeah, so just a couple of things. If the photographs are useful and people find them attractive, then could it be called a gallery, not a list, and just posted in some other, under a different title, maybe with a disclaimer saying, this is not the list, this is a gallery, go here for the list. Go somewhere else for the list, number one. Number two, I just went to the website and I searched for Toyon and it went to the sustainability list, not to the official list. So,
That's where it goes
Um,
at the moment. Yes.
Yeah.
right,
Yes.
so,
Yes.
so that is a question if, how you want people to find things.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too. If searching for a plant name takes you to the gallery and makes it harder to find the list, is that
That's a good
complicating what we were
question,
trying
yeah.
to resolve?
Oh, yeah, Dieter, we know that if you go to Google, that there are wonderful resources. The issue is what we have on our site, on the town site.
Maybe this is a question for the person who does the communications, and she can maybe add another link.
But
No, no, no,
that was the
no,
whole
it's
point of
our-
the
we need-
subcommittee
this
was,
yeah.
we worked on revising this list, and consolidating for almost 3 years, 2 years plus. And we've reviewed it multiple times. And I totally understand what you're saying, Marianne. It's surprising that we're at this point again. And that was part of the issue with the website was it's great to have the list, but if all you're doing is Carrie's just putting the list on under conservation and it's not linking and the other lists are still there, then the effort was perhaps not as well directed as it could have been, if that's the situation.
Yeah, well, it's going to be indexed because it has been there. And therefore, unless we take it completely off, it will come up first for a while because that's how the internet works.
But again, I'm talking about going back to the other documents that are referencing the plant list, which does not go there to the pretty pictures. It goes to the 2011 spreadsheet. That's what it goes to. It used to go to. I don't know what it goes to
No, no,
now.
no. I can tell you what happens at the moment. If you go to the sustainability,
That's not the document I'm talking about.
but that's what we are going to do. This is the official place where our list is going to go. We already decided on that. That's where it goes. The sustainability, yes. Can you explain this, please?
Well, I think you're both right, but I think there are more places that the link needs to be repaired than maybe you have a complete list of.
Okay.
There are approximately 20 different ways to get to 5 different plant lists.
Exactly.
One of them is through that sustainability portion of the website.
That's all we did in our committee meeting. That's all we did. We didn't go to any other links, any other.
I think I
Huh.
didn't realize the depth of what we were trying to get to. I'm
Ah.
not sure why yeah.
I thought we were going in through the conservation.
No, no, no.
I mean, that was.
I can-
That's what we should be.
I can send you the full list of lists, which we created a couple of years ago when we first started this process. So along with the link to the sustainability page, there are a number of other places where we need to replace links to take us to this page.
Do you know these places or,
I do.
Yes.
but because we didn't discuss this at all in the subcommittee meeting.
But Mariana,
I thought it was old news. I
it's been
apologize.
part of the generation of the list at the approved plant list. When Megan first started consolidating everything, that was all in that document on the first page of
Right.
the several different pages of different plants saying where everything had come from
Oh.
and where it went.
Okay.
And all those links were there. So it'd be easy. I mean,
Okay.
Yeah, I still
so
have them. I can
it was
easily share
all,
it.
it
So
was
there,
all,
it's on one page.
yeah, it's,
Right, but I didn't include that in the list that we posted because it wasn't appropriate for everyone else.
right, that was the historical.
Right, so yeah, but.
Okay, good. I'm glad I haven't met with Kari because we need to be clear. There should only be one Kari meeting with
This-
all the links.
This is going longer than
Yeah,
it needs to.
okay.
I think let's take this offline.
Okay,
and
let's
we
take
can
it
figure-
offline. Yeah, yeah, okay.
But we will talk about it next month.
No, I really think nothing should stop us from putting the approved lists where we want them.
Yeah.
And let's just enlighten me where the other links are. Nothing should stop us from doing that.
Okay, I
Okay.
will send you.
Yeah.
Send you the. complete
Okay.
thing tonight.
Sorry this took so long. And I think the next one is the fencing.
Yeah.
Okay, this will be shorter. So it was the same meeting and it's the same subcommittee. And we came up with some recommendations and I didn't submit it in writing because it's not completely, thought through. But what we were saying in terms of wildlife corridors, we recommend the following wildlife corridor additions to the existing fence ordinance. That was the issue, right? Changing the fence, excuse me?
It's your issue.
Yeah, changing the fence ordinance to have wildlife corridors. So what we said is for parcels less than 1 acre size, there would be no change because it's just not, it's not going to fly. And with parcels size of 1 acre, there also will be no change. That's what we're suggesting. However, we might want to say encourage to leave 10% of the property accessible for a wildlife corridor. So it's the soft approach. It will be the soft approach. Because some people might really want to and say, yeah, I want to do something for the wildlife. Others might say, I don't want my roses to be eaten. Now, with parcels size greater than 1 acre for new build, major remodel, unfenced, requires a wildlife corridor. So that we would add that to the ordinance. It requires a wildlife corridor that allows unimpeded wildlife traffic. And that is for new buildings, major remodel.
That's 1 acre or
You know what,
larger?
I will,
Sorry,
this is the suggestion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so too early to flesh
it's
out.
too early to flesh out. I'm just running it by you.
Then I'm not-
Yeah, and then this parcel size greater than 2 acres, what we would suggest is 20 feet with setback for a wildlife corridor. And that is particularly that I think would be very important for Westridge. If new buildings go in and somebody has 2.5 acres and now they want to put in a 6-foot fence, they would be pushing the wildlife either to the neighbor, who then might say, I have too many deer in my yard, I'll put up a fence, or into the road. So that's the logic.
So one of the thoughts that I had is that every parcel has these setbacks. It's many places it's 20 feet on the 3 sides and then 50 from the back. But if you had some sort of a rule that you couldn't put a fence inside that setback, between the property boundary and the setback, that would automatically give 40 feet.
But the fencing ordinance allows you to put the fence on the property line.
I know, but if we were to change it so that it couldn't be on the property line for parcels bigger than X. So we're still gonna, I think it makes sense to keep the smaller parcels, not to mess with that, because I agree it's gonna be difficult to fly. But the bigger parcels, I don't,
The setbacks at bigger parcels is pertaining, well, there is the right of way in the front. And then there are the setbacks for building, for where the house can be,
right.
on the side and on the back.
Oh, you're right,
It's
you're
not,
right.
it's not pertaining to the fence. I think what we're saying here, I should send this out. I never got anything back from you, so
I know, I think we still have a little bit to
we have to
revisit
flash it out.
on the actual, allowance of percentage or feet of setback. I think my intention was to do a little bit more research
Oh,
into
that's right,
appropriate
you were doing
widths of
research. Okay.
corridors.
Yeah.
The 20 feet was based off of the required setback from the center line of a creek, I believe it was.
Yeah.
So we just used that as a starting point, but we were going to look into
Okay,
a
so
little
we'll
bit
have another
more
meeting.
information on wildlife
Okay.
friendly fencing and
Yeah.
on appropriate corridor widths.
And then what we haven't done yet, and I think Catherine was going to, I think you were going to talk to me.
Nona?
To Nona, the definition of a wildlife corridor, because we have not done that definition. Then
Yeah, so,
That's still
so
missing.
my searching for, recommended widths for wildlife corridors was kind of, I mean, it depends a lot on that target animal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
certainly.
Yeah, so we could, say deer, but still, I couldn't find any numbers really at all. It was kind of like as big as you can make it.
Nona, would you have a definition for a wildlife corridor?
I'd like to think about it a little bit, but one of the things I'm thinking about listening to you all too is about fuel reduction, because in some sense there is sort of more corridor available as people are taking out some of the understory in a lot of places and thinning ladder fuels and things like that. So it might be worth thinking about it in the context of what the defensible space ordinance is as well. Just a thought.
But the fuel reduction wouldn't have any impact on a fence.
No, but it would have some consequences for where animals can go potentially.
And not if there is a 6-foot fence. Yeah,
I
no,
know.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
there is a barrier, it doesn't really matter how much fuel reduction there is. If the animal can't get there or out of there or in there, then it doesn't really help. But it's worth thinking. It's certainly worth thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can keep working on it.
we'll keep working on it. And then the other thing is, Megan brought that up, that we give it some thought, connecting between the parcels. Because obviously, if you have on one side a corridor, but then you don't have a corridor on the other side, whatever, in the north, where are they going to go? So the bigger picture needs to be looked at as well.
But yeah, the bigger picture definitely needs to be looked at as well, but remember that this has to be ministerial,
Yeah, ministerial, yeah.
so.
Well,
which
then
we
it's, yeah, then
really
it just
are.
goes with setbacks.
Yeah.
Then it will work, then it will work.
Right.
And then the other thing, and I think you were alluding to it, the definition wildlife friendly fencing. What's a wildlife friendly fencing? That might be helpful.
Yeah, there was an interesting fence that I saw that it was very tall to keep the deer out, but it was almost unimpeded for the bottom 3 feet. And it would, it
Interesting.
allowed like lions and foxes and
And
everything
deer,
to go. And
deer can get through this much because they do it all the time.
don't say that.
They do.
No, I believe you. I believe you.
I've seen them do it
I've seen them dig
this
holes.
much.
The coyotes dig a hole and then the deer.
Right.
There you
push
go.
underneath. That's what happens.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, so it's a work in progress, but I think, we have made progress. We have definitely made progress.
excellent.
Sorry, I took so much time.
All right, well, you get to keep going. Do
I
we
do.
have a kudos for this month?
No.
And a backyard habitat?
Well, what I was hoping that with our new member, that she might join the Backyard Habitat Subcommittee. She can think about it.
That sounds like a great idea.
I would definitely think about
You think about it.
it. I'd have to know more before I could say yes or no.
We'll talk
Definitely.
offline.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
we'll definitely talk offline, but
Mhm.
it's actually really fun.
It's fun, yeah.
Backyard habitat.
Yeah.
Write that down.
Okay, tip of the month, I was I I was all set to do the weed seedlings, which is good, but then on my drive in here today, I just saw oxalis everywhere. It's starting to
Oh,
bloom
yeah, it's
already.
out.
Yeah, so I don't know.
It's out.
Maybe I'll just do the weed seedlings and make sure oxalis is on it. Okay, and then what's blooming now? I did, I've done ribes and Gary elliptica.
Is anything blooming now? Yeah. Peter, what's blooming? Oh, there are? Mine died. I don't know anymore. Do you know, Ceanothus has.
Ceanothus?
That's true. Yeah, it's just coming.
It's a little early.
Oh, really?
I got my hand slapped about doing an Arctostaphylos
Oh.
one because the fire department. was
Ceanothus
like,
is a
I-
fire thing. Yeah. Are you talking about Ceanothus or something?
No, Manzanita.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, remember, I
Yeah.
did
Can we add a
one.
disclaimer that says this is not, this is
I-
a conservation recommendation and acknowledgement of existing plants and does not have
Oh,
anything
I
to do with.
even put a thing at the bottom that said that there's the dwarf ones that are really good fire resistant.
It's so slow
But
growing.
the fire department
so
made
slow.
somebody take one out that was near their house that was like their mother gave them. And when
the
he saw-
ranch.
Yeah, when he saw my, my thing, he just blew a gasket, so.
Anyway,
Okay,
so
so-
Ceanothus? is that what I
Ceanothus.
heard?
Let's do Ceanothus. I think Ceanothus. For what?
It's on our approved list as some varieties can be low fire hazard with appropriate maintenance.
Okay,
I'm willing to do it again and just stress the keeping it away from the 0 to 5 and
You're doing the Ceanothus too?
I'm just, next month.
Oh,
I mean, I think the same principles apply to both.
I know.
Ceanothus is
I
twiggy
know.
and small.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to chat with Kim,
I
how
think
she
that might
feels
be-
about it.
Well, it wasn't her, it was a resident.
Well,
that-
but
that-
I know who you're talking. I know exactly who you're talking, but that,
I'll talk to her, for sure. Okay,
we're
all
done.
right, well.
Can I jump in for a second? My hand's been up. For the tip of the month, it might also be good to ask if people can send in suggested areas for broom pull, because if we wait another month, it'll be too late to get the word out, to get suggestions.
I will definitely do that as a separate, an
Okay,
additional communication requesting um, recommendations for locations.
okay, thanks.
Okay. I think we're done. Okay.
Meeting adjourned?
That's right, and can turn the heater off. Okay, all right. I don't think, yeah, we're adjourned.